Let's go to the CBC's Hillary Johnstone. Hillary, you've been looking into the victim, who she was. What more are we learning about 37-year-old Renee Good?
That's right. Well, we're learning, Andrew, that she was a mother of three, that she had two older children from a previous marriage, a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old, but then she also had a 6-year-old son. And some of this information, which is now being shared with American media outlets, including the Associated Press, is coming from her ex-husband, who has said that Renee Good and her partner, who she was living with, were on their way home from dropping that 6-year-old boy off at school when all of this happened. Now, as Andrew mentioned, there are really conflicting accounts of what it was that happened leading up to that incident that, of course, we've now all seen play out in those video clips, which have been shared widely on social media. Renee Good described herself on social media as a poet, as a writer, as a wife, and as a mother as well. And we know that she was born in Colorado. She spent most of her life there. She had lived in Missouri, though, but most recently had been living in Minneapolis, just a couple of blocks away from where everything in that video took place. I do want to bring you a statement here from the president of the university where she went, where she took creative writing classes. And the president of Old Dominion University has had this to say on social media, saying, quote, "Indeed, this tragedy reflects the deep strain being felt in countless communities across our nation. As citizens, it is our duty and right to call upon leaders and officials to restore civility in all facets of our lives, especially at the hands of those who are entrusted to protect and serve."
And Hillary, we heard today from U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, Governor of Minnesota Tim Walz. They both have totally different views on this event.
Very different views. It would seem that they could not be more different in sort of how they are interpreting this. Remember that yesterday we heard from the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, calling what led up to all of this as an act of domestic terrorism. She doubled down on that once again today, referring to Renee Good and those actions using that sort of language. We heard from the U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance earlier speaking at the White House, and he suggested that what we saw play out, that was Renee Good's own making, that her actions are what brought all of that on. Here's a little bit more of what we heard from the vice president.
Look, I don't know what is in a person's heart or in a person's head, and obviously we're not going to get the chance to ask this woman what was going on. What I am certain of is that she violated the law. What I'm certain of is that officer had every reason to think that he was under very serious threat for injury or in fact, his life. What I'm certain of is that she accelerated in a way where she ran into the guy. I don't know what was in her heart and what was in her head, but I know that she violated the law, and I know that officer was acting in self-defense. That's it.
Now, we also heard from Minnesota's governor, Tim Walz, and he started his remarks. He spoke at length today as well about the investigation and what's going to come next, but started by speaking about that 37-year-old. Here's what he had to say.
Minnesotans will tell her life story. Minnesotans will be there to defend her honor and see this as a human being, not a moment in time or the callous casualness that I've watched some people on TV gloss over what they saw.
Now, efforts to reach Renee Good's partner, who you can see in some of those videos from the scene, those have not been successful despite attempts by numerous media outlets.
Hillary, thank you. CBC's Hillary Johnstone.